What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the RPO College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Jones, and I'm here with my guy, Mr. Ray Roberts, the man, the myth, the legend. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
We're gonna get right into the subject because me and you was already kind of talking about it before our podcast and going live, and we're gonna talk about it because man, I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little hurt. I'm a little hurt. Michigan recruiting class right now is not looking good. I mean, oh man, I'm hurt right now. I mean, let's just start with the most important position right now, obviously the quarterback position. We got Dante Moore, who's from Michigan. We got CJ Carr, who's from Michigan. Both guys are projected not to even go to Michigan. They're both Michigan kids. CJ Carr, his grandpa went to Michigan. He's a whole Michigan guy. He's a coaching staff for the Michigan. Dante Moore, just a Michigan native, and it's looking like your team might be getting both. I mean, I'm so annoyed right now. I mean, I'm nervous in a sense because the whole Jim Harbaugh situation, first and foremost. He just recently put out that he's not going anywhere. He loves it. There, people are now reporting on it. I just feel like it's a little too late now. I mean, it's never too late, but it's like, dude, you waited so long to say that. Like, you should have said that when the reports were out there, you know? So I'm annoyed by that. And I'm very worried that, if Michigan State gets CJ Carr, that means Dante Moore will be going to Notre Dame, and the Eagles. The Michigan will be left out without either of those two. Now, there's another quarterback, and I'm blanking on his name. He's 2024 recruit as well that we can possibly get as a backup, and I think he's the third ranked quarterback of 2024. But Ray, I want to know what you think about this whole Michigan situation in general, because even just now, when I was just telling you some of the guys that are already committed, they're going to other schools, and it's just worrying me that we're about to start losing some commits.
Like we said, Jerome, I think that there are not. I think that teams or players that just don't want to commit to Michigan right now. Mm-hmm. They don't see the commitment from the coaching staff, from Jim Harbaugh in general. I think Jerome, CJ Carr is going to sign with Notre Dame tomorrow.
Stop.
I'm telling you right now, it's going to happen.
Right. It's not going to happen. It's not happening until it happens. It doesn't happen until it happens.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, he's going to sign with Notre Dame tomorrow. And as far as I know, it's not going to stop Dante Moore from going there too. So,
That's crazy. I mean, I know we talked about Notre Dame's recruiting class last week, and what y'all doing an amazing job. I can't deny what y'all doing, Ray. We've been on a recruiting edge with Inside the Hatches the last few months, and being able to see a lot of these guys. Got to meet Dante Moore in person. He did really well down here in Georgia, but it's just like we can't stick with nobody, man. It's just and it's crazy because I'm seeing that these kids are going to Michigan. A lot of them are saying great stuff about Michigan. But at the end of the day, it's like these other schools are persuading them to go to their schools now. And it's just very worrisome. I mean, in the next, couple of weeks, we're going to really see a lot of dominoes kind of fall, especially after Carr makes his announcement tomorrow. And we're definitely going to be on high alert with that one right there. I don't know. I do think there's not going to be a season like last season with Michigan. That was a great season. We went as far as we could. We got beat by the national champions who had an incredible defense that just made us look silly in that game. But we lost a lot of pieces. I think that we can do a lot of good stuff this year still, because I do believe we got some good recruits in the prior years, and JJ McCaffrey, Edwards, Donovan Edwards, really good pieces on offense that once McNamara and Corum leave, I think they're going to be great fill-ins. But beyond that, and I think our receiving, I love our receiving core. But beyond that, the classes after that, it's really worrisome for me. I'm not gonna lie, it really worrisome for me. Right, I'm
I
worried.
mean, the only other quarterback that's out there that is not committed anywhere is Dylan Raiola, who was a kid from Arizona.
He's committed to Ohio State.
He is now, huh? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
straightforward. Sorry, man.
he's at Ohio State already, so it's just yeah. So
Well,
yeah,
um, back to the drawing board then. I don't know any other way of putting it, Jerome, except for like we were texting. I'm like, what is Michigan doing? What are they doing?
yeah. Especially when you got two guys, the best two quarterbacks in the next couple of drafts, recruiting classes are from Michigan, and we can't even grab them. And it's worrisome to me too because like literally today, I don't know why, but Michigan State threw out so many offers, like a lot of offers, and that's a lot of guys that we've been keeping an eye on as far as some of these higher recruiting class players. So I'm just seeing, I'm just like, what is going on? Like, where's Michigan? We're so quiet, right? And I know our guy, what's his name? Um, he was on with us for the draft. Um,
Corey?
Corey, yes.
Corey, yeah.
No, Corey is on my side with how worried he is with Michigan as well. So it's I don't know, Ray. I don't know, Ray. Any last words you want to say?
Well, yeah, I was the first one that told him. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've heard Dante Moore would go to Michigan State before Michigan.
Yes, crazy.
I mean, I still think he's going to go to Notre Dame because that's what I've been hearing for like a couple months now. But I've also heard that he'd rather go to Michigan State than Michigan right now. So
that's harsh. That's hard.
I mean, again, because like as much as I know, it's funny. I'm talking to a guy the other day, and he's a Michigan fan, and he says to me, "We were talking about DJ Carr, and we were talking about Dante Moore." And he's like, well, how many quarterbacks does Notre Dame need, right? I'm like, well, we really know we need one elite quarterback, but anytime you stick it to Michigan, it's never a bad thing.
Anyway, next topic. Let's get to our next topic. And guys, this is our weekly rankings that we've been doing. So if you haven't been watching our previous two podcasts, you can go check that out on our YouTube channel, Inside the Hashes on YouTube. Go, make sure you like, subscribe on there as well. Also, make sure you know that this is a live podcast. So if you guys are watching live, we got a couple of guys in here right now. Definitely it's interactive. So if you have any questions, anything you want to add to the podcast, definitely put it in the chat room and we will answer them for you guys. But like I said, in our previous podcast, we've been doing the rankings of each conference. So we got two more conferences we're going to do this week. And we're going to start off with the Mountain West. So Ray, let's get right to it. Let's rank them from bottom to top. Mountain West, who you got, sir?
At number 12, I have New Mexico. Not to get too into it, obviously, they are not a very talented team. So, it's pretty easy to say, so there's not a very good team. At number 11, I have Hawaii, and I can tell you their rankings are like New Mexico's like in the top, like after the top 25 or so as far as rankings in most publications. So I just don't see anything there. And Hawaii is the same way. Yeah. They're usually a decent offensive team, but they don't really do anything else. So
it's weird because and I don't mean to cut you off, but it's weird because you would think like Hawaii, people would want to go to Hawaii, like the island Hawaii, like but they just can't recruit people there. I mean, it's crazy.
You can't because it's still looked at like as a far place to go. It's even farther than going from here to the West Coast, and there's not as much. There's no history there. Is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're.
You could look at the few years when they had Cole Brennan. That was probably like their best years.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Cole, what's his name? He got, I don't know if he got drafted or undrafted by by Tennessee Titans. I forgot his name. He had the blonde hair, long hair.
Oh, I knew you were talking. Oh
Uh,
man,
I forgot his name. But anyway,
yeah.
even
Well,
with him, like those years wasn't even that great for them either. They had a pretty good quarterback, but like the Cole Brennan days, that was like the only time you really heard about Hawaii.
again, they have times when they have good offenses, but they just
Mm-hmm.
don't. There's just no consistency and there's no defense,
Yeah.
and it's really not much of a conference or defense to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
but number 10, I have UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a fairly talented roster, but a little bit of a like some younger players, looking, because a lot of these teams are like that. And these are the kind of teams that honestly, if the portal keeps going the way it's going now, these teams are going to be stripped bare. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. They're going to be stripped bare. So I'm hoping that they do something to stop some of it, but I mean, you could always find talent on like every college roster without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they are, Division II, Division III type kids, are still talented football players.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a high level player and you're going to one of these teams, you're always going to be tempted by a bigger program. So
Oh yeah.
Number 9, I have Nevada. Again, lost a starting quarterback this year, so that's not going to be a good situation for them.
Carson Strong.
Correct. Even though he did get hurt.
And their top wide receiver Dubs as well.
Yeah, who's a good football player. So I mean, they're not going to be very good. They weren't great last year to begin with. So
they had a good 2000. What was it? 2020, I think that is.
Yeah, 2020 they were actually a decent team. The pandemic year, right?
Yeah.
It was one of them weird years, man.
That was a really weird year.
A weird year, man. Remember Indiana that year? It was a weird year, man. A very weird year that year, man.
I mean, when you have
Michigan won like 3 games the whole year, right? And then last year,
we didn't play many games. We didn't play all our games either.
No, you didn't. And really, they should have just shut down the whole season. I mean, we were mad at the time that they didn't, but they probably should have.
Yeah. I mean, that was the year as a Big Ten guy. That was the year where you had Penn State, who looked like they was going to be really good. You had Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota. There was a good team last year, and it looked like they're going to be competitive. Both of those teams were really bad. Michigan barely played all their games, and you had Indiana that really took advantage of it.
They did take advantage. They won a couple fluky games earlier and just rode the season with it,
Yeah.
When they beat Penn State, then they had that weird game against Michigan where they beat Michigan, and then they were just steamrolling from there, really.
Yeah. It was like an odd year.
It was an odd year.
So
very odd year. So,
but go ahead, Ray.
All right, number 8, I have Wyoming. Again, a team that's usually not a bad team, but they have some athletes there. There are definitely some athletes that go to Wyoming. So that's really all I'm looking for. I mean, like, I don't really who wins this conference means nothing to me. I mean, just to find good players in the conference, really, for me. That's all. Number 7, I have Colorado State. We're getting into the teams that are ranked by most people in the top 100. You know what I mean? Not everybody, but some teams in the top 100.
They had a pretty solid recruiting class.
They did.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of them kids, I think really after this year, you'll see them be better next year.
Yeah.
So they get 2 years in the same program, doing the same things. I mean, college, it kind of takes a little longer. That's the bad thing about when you have young guys, because by the time they really learn their craft, they're usually ready to retire, man.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, get drafted or stop playing football, whichever it may be. So, numbers, I did 7 or 6. I did 7. Colorado State, right?
Yep.
So now I have at 6, I have San Diego State. Actually, San Diego State's not a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember. Shaven Cordian is their quarterback, who's not a bad player. I mean, he's a pretty athletic kid. I'm kind of trying to look at my notes here. I kind of looked at some game film on at least the top 7 teams in this conference.
Uh-huh.
The rest of it, I kind of went by records from last year, how they were last year. I mean,
players, stuff like that.
Yeah, how many guys have returned and that are seniors this year as opposed to the last couple of years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I had New Mexico and Hawaii so low, because they're a young team and they have a lot to learn, and they were not very good last year, and they did still lose some guys. So number 5, I have Air Force. Always respect the cadet teams; they always play hard, no matter which team it is. So I always root for them teams to win, no matter if it is all of them, except for when Army Navy plays each other. Then I got to play root for Army because that's where my grandfather served. So But anyway,
respectfully, okay.
Yeah, again, I root for all them teams. I think that honestly, some of Notre Dame's hardest games over the years have always been against Navy and Army. Always, no matter what the roster. It's like when they play Boston College. It don't matter what kind of team they're playing that's over there. They're going to play hard against you. So be ready for it. So
100%.
Yep. Number 4, I have Utah State. I could have switched Utah and San Diego, who I have 3rd. It's really close. I just like San Diego a little bit better. I think that their defense is a little better, so I'm going to go with them. And number 2, I have Boise State, and then Fresno State at the top.
Yeah, and I think those 2 teams are the teams that almost every year is going to be like the top 5 at least.
Yeah.
Just because their history, they're going to be probably the best recruiting classes of those. Obviously Boise State with that blue field, people want to be on that. So and they produce some NFL players there too. So
right. And of course they have the split divisions, the Mountain Division and the West Division, and they do play in opposite divisions and will probably respectively win their division in Fresno and Boise State, respectively. They're both top 40, 45 teams in most, preseason publications. Yeah. I like them teams the best. Like you said, they're usually, if not the best 2 teams in this conference, usually right up there. So,
Right. I agree. All right. Well, that's going to do it for Mountain West. So, not a lot of people know about the Mountain West. So, I'm glad that, we're able to inform people about like more conferences that people don't know too much about, and we're able to help them understand the rankings on them. But let's get to our next one, and that was going to be the Pac-12. Now, this is a little bit, higher hierarchy of a conference right here. Pac-12, a lot of people say they don't have defense, but I ain't say that. You said that. Ray, let's get to your list, starting with the lowest. So you got.
Well, I have Colorado at number 12. Again, not a very good team. Just a lot of deficiencies all over the place. They have a good defensive line, but the secondary is poor, and they do play in the Pac-12 where teams kind of like to throw the ball a little bit. So it's probably going to be their downfalling. But again, they do have a good, solid defensive line. So you never know. They could hang in some games maybe. At number 11, I have Arizona. Arizona in the last couple of years has been a really bad team.
Yeah, they've been on a downfall. That's probably one of the bigger downfall teams, in NCAA. One of them, because they haven't been able to hang, especially with a state.
Yeah, well, their coach Josh Fish has actually has a really good strong class going into this season. So I think things are actually looking up for them now. Yeah. But I think this year will be again learning the system, getting some more talent in your roster. I just don't expect them to be good right now. I think 2 years from now they'll be a much better team. So yeah.
Correct.
Number 10, I have Washington State. Again, not a very good team. They're an up and down team though. They had their moments when they're not a bad team. This is just one of their down periods. That's all. So
Yeah, I might want to flip your two teams right there, Arizona and Washington State. I mean, it is close though. It will be a close one.
It is, and I think Arizona again will be a much better team going into 2023 than this year. And I do like their coach, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, I could flip flop them too. Yeah. And talk about a falling program. We got Stanford at number 9, so falling like a rock, man.
Yeah, I'm going to pose this question to you. Let me let you finish first. Go ahead. Let me let you finish first, and then I'll pose this question.
No, I mean they have not. They have hits and misses in recruiting. Like that's going to be every team, though. Mm-hmm. But their misses have been way too much bad, and they're just not. They're not getting the same caliber players as they were 5-10 years ago.
No, and I agree. Yeah, and let me pose this question to you now because David Shaw's there. Do you think he's about to start being on a hot seat now because the team, when he first got there, the recruiting was great, and now all of a sudden the recruiting went down for him a lot drastically, and it's still David Shaw there. So it's like, what's going on? What do you think is going to happen with him?
I think there's been a little bit of heat on the last couple of years.
Yeah,
and I think that if he has another down season, that they probably will make a move for a different coach.
Yeah.
It's
one thing. It's one thing to lose and have bad seasons. It's another thing to have bad seasons and bad recruiting, and he has bad recruiting lately. So
he does. So the last couple of years of the last 3 years have really been down years recruiting wise for Stanford. And you know what? I hate to say it, they throw a lot of money at that university, but they just haven't had the results. And you know what happens when guys are throwing money and the results aren't there. Someone's head has to fall. And it is Stanford. It's a great academic school. Yeah. It's a well-liked school. I mean, I respect Stanford.
I mean, you had some high-profile, players come out
absolutely, here. Absolutely, man. Without a doubt. Stanford. Yeah, I mean, man, all the way back to the Jim Plunkett days, man. Yeah. Stanford, John Elway. Yeah. That's a great program, man. You'll never hear me. I respect Stanford. What's his name? Drew Lock. One of his college quarterbacks for three straight seasons. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, even as much as the one running back that turned out to be nothing, 2,000 yards. I mean, that's a good program, and you wouldn't think they would have a hard time recruiting there. I mean, I just don't understand. Like, David Shaw is, and we know David Shaw is a good coach. It's not about him not being a good coach. It's about honestly, like, has he lost? I think that when he replaced Harbaugh, right? Yeah, when he replaced Harbaugh out there, he was making a living off of what Harbaugh had done as a coach and as a recruiter out there. And now you've seen he was good as long as everything was remaining the same. Now that the last, I'm going to say really 6 or 7 years, he's had really struggled to recruit the same caliber players that Harbaugh was before that.
Definitely. All right, let's get to your next one while I'll jump off.
I don't know what just happened.
Sorry about that. I'm putting my light on. Go ahead. live podcast, guys.
I mean, I was confused for a minute there. I thought I did something.
Oh, no, you good. All right, let's get to your next rating.
Number 8, I have Arizona State. I wish I didn't because, again, love their coach.
Yeah.
But I just don't see – he's lost a lot of talent the last couple of seasons. Yeah. And I think it's going to take him – I'm trying to read my notes about how they did recruiting-wise this year. And
the coach that you're referring to is Herman Edwards, if anybody didn't know.
Yeah, well, I think most people that either the people that listen to us or most Eagles fans know that Herman Edwards is, the coach of Arizona State.
Correct.
Honestly, he's the kind of he's the kind of guy that I root for guys, man. I root for guys at work, and he's that guy, man. He outworks people. I like him. So I'm trying to see.
And again, guys, thank y'all for being on, watching us live. If you want to add some comments in here about your favorite teams or where we have our rankings, you definitely can put it in the comment section. We will put it on the screen and come back on.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, I can't wait till we talk about the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah, I try to leave that for last.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that usually brings up the most conversations, especially if we do them both the same week. So
yeah. I know Remy somewhere out there waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, they are. Even my nephew Steven texted me the other day, yo man, when you guys doing the Big East and the SEC? I'm like, later, man. Patient. Be patient.
Try to make it closer to the season.
I mean, like, man, because that's going to be like we all know. Well, I shouldn't say that. I know, and I believe Jerome knows. Oh, over here, yes, Jerome knows that the SEC is the best conference in college football.
There's a reason why I moved to Georgia.
Right, but I do think that the Big East is number 2, or the Big Ten. I do think.
Yeah, I know you used to saying Big East from.
Yeah, I know. It's just from when I was a kid. I'm used to saying the Big East, but it's of course it's the Big Ten. But they are, to me, a physical conference who dominate in the trenches, and that's why when they're good, Ohio State usually is good. But even when Michigan's good and Penn State's good, because they can play in the trenches, they always have a shot. So.
No, definitely.
Number 7, I have California.
Okay.
Number 6, I have Washington. Again, down years for both of them programs.
Yeah, I think they both lost a lot of good talent, honestly.
They have, and it's been a really, I'm going to say it's been like 5 or 6 years since California was any good.
Yeah.
Washington, again, is an up and down team, but they've had their seasons, when they've been pretty good,
I'll say one thing. Washington gave Michigan a little bit of scare last year, though.
Well, they have good – Washington recruits good defensive linemen, good corners.
Yeah.
And they don't always turn out to be great pros, but they're good college corners.
Correct.
All right? And usually good slot corners, but good college corners. And anytime you have good quarterback, and they usually get decent quarterback there.
Yeah.
Again, don't always turn out to be great pros, but college-wise, they're good quarterbacks.
I feel like, everybody knows California is, it's you got your big 4, maybe 5 states in America that have the best recruits. Georgia being one of them, Florida being one of them, Texas, and then you got California. And I think, with the Western kids, if they're not going to like USC, maybe UCLA, I think all those talented schools on the West, they usually go to Washington. If you're not going to one of those teams, so I might be missing a team in there too. Right. Another California team.
It's going to sound weird. If you were to see, and this is crazy to even think about, say Hawaii were to go to the Pac-12, and because they were in the Pac-12 instead of the Mountain West Conference, what do you think would happen if they could keep all of the Samoan kids and the kids that are from that area playing in Hawaii? Dude?
Yeah, because those kids.
Man, I lived in California for about 5 months one time, and you know what, man? Them Samoan guys are good athletes and they're good, smart football players, man.
And they're usually strong.
They're strong, dude. Yes. I played defensive line. A lot of them guys were playing offensive line, and they were strong, man.
They're strong dudes. Man.
They were. So, like, imagine Hawaii could do that. Could they be like the Hurricanes back in the 80s? Could they'd be way better than they are now.
Yeah.
Way better
now. I agree. So. All right, let's get to your next team.
Okay, next team is Oregon State. Again,
what's that number 4? Right?
Yeah, they're a solid team, but not as good as they've been in previous seasons. They've had some better seasons than they are now. Number 4, and I think a lot of people are not going to like this, or at least some people. I know some people will. I've already got some. I put a ranking out there of my top 25 college football teams out there, and I got a little bit of a response about it. And I had UCLA at number 3 and USC at number 4 in their conference. And people have USC as a top 10 team, man.
I know why though. Their recruiting been crazy lately.
Okay.
And the transfers, yeah, they've been getting a lot of transfer and recruiting lately.
I'm glad for them. When they do it on the field, they're not.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Right, I hear you. And the thing is, because they got a couple of guys that like they got the number 1 ranked quarterback, Makai Nelson, the guy that we got to interview, and
very, very talented football player. Without a doubt, very talented.
Yeah, they got him.
Is he helping? Is he going to help them win games in 2022?
No.
Okay. Who do they have playing quarterback this year?
Man, that's a good question.
If I look at my notes, I'm sure I can figure that out. Oh, Caleb Williams.
Oh yeah.
He was actually a talented athlete.
Yeah, he just came from Oklahoma himself.
Yeah, I'm glad for him.
Yeah.
That
don't mean no change in my rankings, but
yeah, man. Like when I see it on the field,
yeah,
I don't give away participation trophies, dude.
No, I 100% agree. 100%
Do you think that the teams in that conference are just going to be like, oh well, USC is going to be good all of a sudden again after they haven't been good since Pete Carroll left?
Nah.
All right. Well, you don't think Chip Kelly's itching to play them right now? I think he is. I think Chip Kelly's itching to play USC this year. I can't wait to see it.
I mean, and to be fair, I'm an Eagles fan. Chip Kelly kind of rubs me in the wrong way with what happened there in Philly.
Oh, absolutely. And I thought he was exposed a little bit.
Yeah.
And it is his game, like the high, fast-paced college game, can't be played in the NFL, man. It just can't.
It didn't translate after a while. After NFL teams and NFL coaches start really evaluating, and that's the thing of difference between NFL and the college ranks. These guys are professionals. They know, all right, let's look at what happened and let's make sure we figure out a way to shut it down. And
like there's not the disparity in talent as there is in college football.
Yeah,
the NFL, believe it or not, man, even the worst NFL teams are loaded with good football players.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it's just a matter of look at like I've been hearing raving reviews about Mike Gesicki, how much he looks better now, faster, runs route better. He's being better coached. How about that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
So I will say, to get back to my point with Chip Kelly, when he got to the UCLA, every year you can see a little bit more progression and more progression. So I don't hate you for putting them what you had from 3. I don't hate you for that. I don't hate you for that. I see why you have that. So and they still got their quarterback. I believe his name Thompson.
Yep.
He's a really good player. So Dorian Thompson. So I think they're gonna do some good stuff. And the defense is getting a lot better because I think that was the biggest thing I had an issue with them. When he first got there, was their defense was garbage, So,
Thompson's a senior, playing his 3rd season in the same offense. I just think that they're going to be good this year. I do. I think UCLA is going to be one of them surprise teams. I do. I think that. I have Oregon ahead of them because I think Oregon's a better team right now.
Yeah.
But they also changed their coach this year, so we'll see what happens there. So I would not. If UCLA snuck ahead of Oregon too, it would not surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I have Oregon because they're a talent and they were good last year. But they are changing head coaches, so we'll see about that. And I have Utah number 1 in this conference.
Yes, sir.
I think Utah is the one team that plays defense in this conference from year to year to year to year. So
right, and if something happened to the Michigan program, I might be a Utah fan, man. Even though I was jinxing them all last year, I secretly love Utah. I like the underdog kind of teams where not a lot of people are talking about too, and I love teams that have good defense. And Utah has been put out some really good defensive players. My guy that just came out of the draft this year, Devin Lloyd, he's not going to be there no more this year, but I already know that team is always going to be good. The one good defense in the Pac-12 at least. If you want to say a Pac-12 defense, at least Utah, Utah's going to have one. So I think I like your list, Ray. I really do.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily hate you for the UCLA, USC thing. I know you probably get a lot of slack on that on the Twitter.
Well, I just think that I understand that USC is one of them teams that they have a lot of fans all over the place. Because when I was a kid, I say this all the time. When I was a kid, which was 50 years ago now, Notre Dame, Michigan, Southern California, and Alabama, they were the teams when I was younger, man.
Yeah,
the team. There probably was a period of at least 15 to 20 years when one of them 4 teams didn't win a national title.
Yeah.
I mean, they're to me, they're the Mount Gibraltar. They're the biggest, and all due respect to Ohio State and Penn State and Clemson and all these other, Florida, Miami, all of them. I respect all of them. For me, they're the 4 teams that matter the most.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing because those teams that you just mentioned, they all kind of had their eras. And not saying they wasn't good before or whatever, but they all kind of have eras where those teams that you just announced, like the USC, Michigan, Notre Dame, Alabama, those teams been good for a long, extensive period of time, And, I know Michigan hasn't been at that top tier as well, and I always kind of refer back to Michigan. But Michigan hasn't been that top team, but they still, to this day, have the most wins in college football. So, and that tells you just the history of the team. And that's why, I think that, people that don't understand why, and I'm saying this as a Michigan fan and see what I'm saying online about, oh, why you're a Michigan fan? It don't make sense. They haven't done anything. It's the history of the team. They were a really good team back in the days. And when I came into fandom with Michigan, they were starting to trickle down a little bit, but they were still that team. So that's why I became a Michigan fan.
I mean, I always remember Notre Dame from being a kid, and honestly, when I was really young, I always rooted for Notre Dame. My grandfather, my cousin, a lot of my friends were always Notre Dame fans. So I kind of I don't want to say get on board because I don't consider myself that kind of I don't follow other people. Mm-hmm. I've always just loved Notre Dame, and I love the tradition. Watching guys run onto the field for Notre Dame when I was a kid was a thrill for me. But, I mean, I always respected Notre Dame. I always respected Alabama and Penn State because my dad was a Penn State fan.
Yeah.
And, I mean, of course, Bear Bryant, Joe Paterno, Air Parseghian. I mean, you got to say – I mean,
great coaching.
Really all you got to say. I mean, and like you said, the difference between them programs and Southern Cal, and all due respect, I know Ohio State has had a lot of really good stretches. They have. They've been really, really good the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But Michigan, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Southern Cal are the only ones that have had multiple seasons where you can call them dynasties.
Correct.
Where they competed for national titles for 10 years and won 2 or 3 of them along the top.
Yeah.
They're the only programs that have done that. Maybe Ohio State's in that realm now because I know they were really good.
They're starting to get to that point. Honestly, Ohio State is starting to catch up to Michigan and wins.
Yeah, so maybe Ohio State has done that because they've been really good recently. And I remember when I was when Chris Carter played there, they were really good. And here's can't remember the quarterbacks. Art Schleister, when I was a kid, Ohio State was an awesome football team. So I remember them, great college player. And I remember them having one really, really great stretch when I was younger. And then I guess what they've done the last 10 or 15 years, maybe they have had that multiple stretches. But when I was a kid, it was them 4 teams: Notre Dame, Alabama, Michigan, and Southern Cal, where they had like 3 or 4 where they're competing every year, man. And, when they play or if they play each other, but see, the crazy thing about it is Notre Dame's always been that team. Like, we've always had rival games. I consider Michigan a rival, even though we don't play each other as much as we used to. Yeah. I still consider them a rival.
I do too.
Right. I still consider Alabama a rival. Again, even though I hardly ever play them anymore, they're still a rival to me. Southern Cal, they play on the West Coast. They're still a rival to me. And you know what's crazy about it? The only other team, Boston College, man.
Boston
College is a thorn in my side, man. They really
like them, though. You like Boston
I respect their program.
You like them.
They're another Catholic university, and I respect their program. I do.
Boston College to you is Utah to me.
Yes and no, because I remember when in '93 Notre Dame beat Florida State in a huge game to become the number 1 team, and then the very next week they lost to Boston College.
Ooh.
Yes, and it kept them out of the title picture. That year, Florida State won the national title, even though their only loss of the season came against Notre Dame.
Jeez.
See, that's what bothered me. The fact that we didn't get to play them again in that championship game really bothered me, man. I'm not
I hear you, Ray.
That really. But we lost to Boston College, who at the time I don't believe they were a top-ranked team. Yeah. And if they were not that high ranked. And they had Glenn Foley at quarterback. Well,
Glenn Foley, yeah.
Hated that guy.
Yeah, we actually interviewed his kids, man. I don't know if you remember.
He was a very good college player. Yeah, and he was a good solid pro for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Of course, who did he play with? The Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets. But yeah, man. So that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Thank y'all for checking us out on the Inside the Hatches presented podcast for the RPO podcast. Make sure you go check us out on YouTube on InsideTheHatches.com. Make sure you check out our website, a newly designed. I don't know where I'm about to say. Newly designed website. So make sure you go check that out. Inside the Hatches. It's a great design that we just got done, and it looks really sweet. So make sure you check that out. Also, make sure you check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter, where we're the most active on. So make sure you go check that out. Inside Hatches for Twitter. Inside the Hatches _ Facebook. Football on Instagram, and Facebook. It's Inside the Hatches. Make sure you go check us out on our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. We find all our podcasts and interviews on there as well. Make sure you check out the YouTube though, because we got a lot of interviews coming in real soon with that as well. A lot of recruits in there that we interviewing. So make sure you go check that out. Inside the Hatches. So thank you guys once again. I'm Jerome Jones, your humble host. We got Mr. Ray Roberts, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you guys so much. Next week, we're going to do 2 more conferences. I think we might be able to get one of the higher ranked kind of conferences next week. So we'll definitely see. And we'll let you guys know which one we'll have for next week. So make sure you check us out. We do this every Wednesday around 7 o'clock. So make sure you go check that out on our YouTube channel. So once again, Jerome Jones, Ray Roberts. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Also, if you want to comment on our YouTube channel, you can go on our YouTube channel, watch the replay of this, and any comments that you want to see or do, we put it on there, and we will message you back on there as well. So thank you guys so much. See you next time. Stay safe, and see you next week.